Well, right after Jesus' strange declaration that this broken bread was his body, well, none of us were sure what to think. A few of us were whispering to each other, still hoping we could better understand. I sat still, leaning back, thinking, trying to put in my mind the meaning of this drama that was unfolding before us. Oh, how I wanted to see the big picture. But no matter how I tried, all that was before my eyes and imagination were indefinite colors and shapes, and it was foggy. And then suddenly the curtain lifted for the next Passover scene, the next part of the drama, as Jesus went and lifted up the cup. Now, keep in mind, remembering the Passover for us Hebrews goes beyond just merely recalling to our mind the details of the event, like remembering the blood of the lamb that was painted on the doorpost. No, when we drink the cup and eat the Passover bread, when we remember, we believe that we are actually participating in the ancient realities of Passover or any other event we're remembering. See, for us, in a very real way, remembering makes us one with the stories of our forefathers and declares to us and to others with us that Yahweh is faithful for us today. So it's in this vein of thinking that Jesus lifted up the next dinner's cup. In his quiet voice, he led us in the prayer of thanksgiving, and taking up our cups, all of our eyes were again fixed on him, wondering what would come next. Well, again, our master spoke, and his words strayed again from the Passover script. He said, "This is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins." Wow, I couldn't imagine why he would use the word blood. Why would he use that? We looked at each other. How could this have anything to do with the events that we were experiencing or will soon experience? And though those words were a mystery for us then, looking back through the eyes of the cross and Easter, now we can see clearly. Of course it was the blood. All those centuries that we had taken the life of spotless animals and shed their blood on the altar, they made us feel sin's burden and God's judgment inside, but it was only momentarily, temporary, all as a dead end. With this cup representing his blood, Jesus was speaking about his sacrifice, his bloody sacrifice on the cross, a sacrifice that would end centuries of our animal sacrifices in the temple. Jesus was opening the door to what we truly needed, a permanent washing, a lasting home in God's presence. And because of his sacrifice, declared this cup that he was lifting, that God's new promised covenant would soon come to pass. And it certainly did just weeks later at Pentecost. Friends, I'm still rubbing my eyes in disbelief. It's a miracle. Yahweh himself now dwells in our human hearts, and he enables us from there to walk in his ways. Oh, and that's not all. There's more. We disciples would soon be leading others to practice this same new meal and enter this same new covenant. It was as if Jesus was saying to us that night, okay, lifting up the cup, folks, tonight is the final Passover. In my death, the passing from bondage to freedom, from shame to forgiveness will be made possible for everyone and once for all. You here are the first to say yes, but soon you will be sent from this room and from this place to share this same invitation to the whole world. Well, after Jesus made clear the grand purpose of his death, he left us a final note of comfort. He said, "Friends, I won't drink from this fruit of the vine, this wine that we had just had that night. I won't drink it again until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom." So you see, Jesus didn't just predict his death and resurrection. He almost promised us a future celebration that death could never end or never spoil. And so you see, Jesus understood us that night only too well. He knew that the events of his death would leave us with overwhelming confusion and grief and despair. He knew we would have a hard time understanding. And so his words that night, with the bread and the cup, they may have fallen on deaf ears that particular night, but later, why, even now, those words and those promises of seeing our Lord, of participating in his blood and body, they matter so much to all of us. Well, they mean everything. To those of you who were not at the last Passover meal, to those of you who see Jesus' death as deserved or tragic or imposed by others, please hear me. Take a peek into this upper room and to hear the truth that our Master declared in the bread and then the cup. He has brought us true forgiveness and a new covenant. His death was no accident.